Like I said, there's people I'm not happy with. But I like. I really do. Dallas is one of them. He's about the closest I got to a friend or family here. Or rather, Coors is. She's a cool dog. I haven't seen Dallas in a while, and when I do, it's few and far between. But according to the Oregon laws, in order to purchase ammunition, you must be 18 years of age or older. So this is fine for him to have. Also, according to Oregon law, and the thing that I posted up isn't actually the Oregon law. It's actually just on Tannerite itself. The manufacturers recommend, but the law is different. So, of course, there you go. Manufacturer recommends you be 21 years of age or older. But the law doesn't even require you to be 18. I guess they figured the only way for you to pop the stuff is to hit it at 2,200 feet per second with a projectile point that you can only purchase if you're at least 18 years of age. So there you go. It's pretty much useless other than that. And the guy explained to me it's not something where it's gonna blow up in my vehicle from going over a bump. It has to be mixed, and you have to hit it with something high powered. When I got the bullets, I knew they're not gonna penetrate it. I already knew that. It's not the point. The point is that if you're gonna harm people over something that you want to assume to be their intent, how that somehow magically makes it okay to commit felonies against them. Like, there's plenty of people that own axes and hatchets, and he's got an axe in the back of his truck, matter of fact. That's Dallas. Now, for what he does, he uses it for work. When I was at Dallas Richmond, this is Dallas Palmer here, but Dallas Richmond, when I was at his place, I used the axe that I had at his place. I also used the axe that I had up at Floyd Stegman's place. Now, of course, that's two people that can easily verify that I was indeed using an axe for its intended purpose. When you've got some nut job who is a child molester pretending like you're going to go chop him up with an axe just because you own one, does he own an axe? He's also a registered pedophile, so we can take a look at that situation too there, can't we? Well, it's illegal to target a pedophile. It's not illegal for a pedophile to target me. Case in point, Robert Franklin Mornick. Alright, I better go pop Dallas the good news. Alright, I looked it up. You're legal and good to go. Absolutely. Somebody got to pretend to like it.
Yeah, somebody. Nah.
Anyway, I got it out in my car. If you want to come out and grab it now. Otherwise, I'm going to run over and probably get a burger over at Burger King.
You can go do that.
Yeah? You want to get a burger?
Yeah, you want receipts?
No, I can pick
Sure,
one
yeah,
up
just
here
in case
next
something.
door.
Hopefully nothing happened, right, Bob?
No, sir.
Yeah, well,
Thank you, bro.
if
Yeah,
they
I'm gonna
pick
You
your
too.
nose, you can pick your friend's nose, but you're not supposed to eat them in public. Not me, I'll eat it in public, I ain't ashamed. Oh yeah, fuck. Or Alright. So here in Oregon, you have to be at least 18 years of age to buy guns or ammunition. Dallas is definitely of legal age for that. Of course, knowing that he's not legal to drink, it makes me kind of wonder who it is that's getting him the alcohol. But they'll $8 short on that. And besides that, we're in redneck territory. At least I'm giving him something that's fun and legal. Woohoo! Let's go get a burger. It is important. It is important to make the point. Just like the point that was made when Wendell McPhee gave me access to his firearms, when Sean Jefferson was willing to give me some of his, and Sandy Fromm giving me access to hers. A lot of y'all might want to talk some trash on me going and eating fast food when there's hobo feet here, but I do have to pay attention to the fact that there are a lot of people here who are on drugs. There are also a lot of people who are friends with Farnsworth, and a lot of people who have already turned a blind eye to crimes being committed against me, even when they were within 50 feet of the crime itself when it happened. So I gotta stay in areas where I am less likely to get victimized. Not likely to be victimized, just less likely. Now, of course, we know that we can go over a bump. We know that somebody can run into us with their truck and it's not going to blow up the Tannerite. Now, if you've had a protection order against you, it's illegal to purchase guns or ammo, or to be in possession of them. Now, trying to get people to actually follow the laws is really the biggest part. And of course, closing up the loopholes. That's a lot easier to do if you show the loopholes. Now, I've been using the same exact tricks of the trade to try to protect myself from my predators, as my predators use to get away with committing the crimes that they commit. And we get to see how the law is powerless to stop them. It's not that the law is powerless, they're lazy. Ted Bollinger never should have had access to either one of his daughters or anyone else's children again after he went to prison. Repeatedly since being released from prison, he's been busted with firearms, methamphetamines, and one of those daughters that he raped. But you know what? Fine. She was on drugs too. But then again, they let her go. Why? Because she's a pretty white girl. Meanwhile, she got busted with meth repeatedly since Natalie was killed. Why? She's a fucking addict, like I told you. You want to pretend I'm the one slandering people's names? Maybe you should pay attention. Do what?
Go ahead, order.
I would like 2 hamburgers, please.
2 burgers,
Yes, ma'am.
$3.98 out your window.
Thank you very much. I prefer to be nice to people, but I also know when it's time to get serious. And when there's people who are gonna joke and make merry while it's a serious situation, you know, that's kind of gross. That's sickening. People who have ignored me for 6 years and I'm still having the same problem that I had 6 years ago and came to them for help about. They can't even admit that I came to them for help. The ones that offered won't even admit that they offered. That's why I gotta go to the screenshots and I gotta post them up. I gotta go to our messenger. I gotta, well, show that although I have tried, when it comes to a male being abused, nobody cares. Just pretty words. When it comes to a girl pretending that a man might, well, that's a different world altogether, isn't it? Hey, buddy. Sorry about that. I'm a horrible driver and my back hurts, but that's not your fault. You guys got hamburgers for me. Raw. Now, some of y'all may know, Dallas is the young man who fixed my muffler issue. And no, it's not illegal to give either one. As far as the Tannerite and 22 long rifles go. Although personally, what I really wanted to get when I was in there was some Aguila Triple S rounds, but they don't make them anymore. That's Sniper Subsonic. It's actually a 22 short round with lead built up on top of it, so it's the length of a 22 long rifle. And those are pretty effective. That's what I preferred to shoot out of my 22 Browning vest pistol because they worked. If I shot the ammunition that the vest pistol, what they recommended, I probably every 2 to 3 shots would end up in a stovepipe. If you don't know what that is, you're not a shooter. And I'm not going to explain it to you. It's a type of jam, we'll call it that. Anyway, I did try it with the federal rounds, and the federal rounds worked pretty good. They only jammed up about every 2 to 3 rounds as well. But the Aguila Triple S, because of the type of blowback at the age of the spring, the Aguila Triple S rounds gave you a little more oomph going backwards, and it was a little bit less casing to go through, so it was able to eject at a a little bit higher velocity on the casings, and that's helpful. The guy who decided he was going to try to blackmail me into making his ideal rifle. He wanted to blackmail me by saying that because I worked on his rifle, that he was going to go to the sheriff, who's a close personal friend of his. Well, that is all that swell, is it? I happen to have ammunition in the vehicle right now, and I'm admitting to it. The problem was the matter of the evidence that needed to be turned in, and this guy being a fucking pain in the ass. While I was in predator territory, those pickles are gone. All right. I couldn't find a bag to put it in, so I just put it in my Burger King bag. I'll be right back, tourists. You work here now?
No.
Well, I would give it to you in the bag that I got it from, but they didn't give me a bag. I just walked out with it. So here you go. It's in a Burger King bag. Don't eat it. Hey, just so you know, whatever you fire at that, it's got to go at least 2,200 feet per second, and the ammunition that I gave you only travels 1,200 feet per second.
Oh yeah, I know. I played Tannerite.
Alright.
So you bring one back and you get $22 back. Alright. 265.97. You got it from the rules?
500.
I'm leaving. Ah, shit, I closed my door all the way again. Yes, Coors, I'm coming. I wasn't ignoring ya. Go, girl. There you go, girl. Yeah. Yeah. Oh. You was a sweetie. Anyway, and nobody died. Oh my God, Sean has access to explosives. I had them in my hands. Now, rather than go do nefarious things, what did I do with them? I gave them to somebody else. But before I did that, I read the equivalent of the MSDS off of their packages. Now I'm going to eat me another burger. Just because somebody can do something doesn't mean that they will. People's excuse to actually harm me is that I could harm others. Why'd you hit him? Well, I thought he was going to hit me first. Why'd you murder him? I thought he was going to shoot me first. He didn't have a gun. My predators do have guns. I don't carry one for a reason. I'm not very nice. It don't matter if you've been a friend for 20 years. You abuse kids, I'm gonna make a lot of noise. It ain't okay to rape people. It ain't okay to chop people up into little pieces. It ain't okay to murder people. It also ain't okay to abuse your power and abuse your position. And to ignore the law because bias. You won't follow the law when the patient is homeless because you hold bias against the homeless. Because the institution that you work for holds bias against the homeless. Because the police hold bias against the homeless. And because the public holds bias against the homeless. You know that these biases are prevalent, which is why you get away with them. Just like in the 1950s and 1960s, when we had racist police officers who wanted to just shoot a black civil rights leader and throw him off in a swamp. Nobody cared. These officers, why did they continue doing those things in places like Alabama and Mississippi? For years and years and years. I mean, you guys want to point out Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and that his killer was found, but he wasn't the only civil rights leader. I mean, the number of these folks that disappeared is phenomenal. The number of these people who were getting threats and harassment by law enforcement was phenomenal. Some of them they found the bodies, most of them they don't. A lot of them are still missing. We focus on a main 3 or 4 of them that were real big name news at the time, comparatively. We don't bother to get the right story or the right information, do we? And once we start letting police officers think they can go around with shooting black civil rights leaders in the head and burying them off in a swamp and nobody's going to care, when they realize that's true, nobody cares. They can do this and get away with it. What's to stop them? Only their own personal morality. Well, that ain't enough. That has not been enough. If that were enough, George Floyd would still be alive. If that were enough, Demetrius Shanklin would still be alive. If that were enough, Sammy Leon Lawrence IV never would have been assaulted by Waylon Lolatai. I never would have been assaulted by Waylon Lolatai. You guys got your heads so screwed up. My predators actually did the things that I said they did. They actually did the things that I was afraid they were going to do. They got away with them for the exact reasons that I told you they were going to. Because without you, nobody cares about the homeless. Not our parents, not our friends. We are lip service. We're the expendables. When you need help, we're the ones who can drop stuff and do stuff for you. On the bright side, you got to see I had explosives and ammunition in my vehicle at the same time, and nobody got killed. Nobody got killed. Now this right here, this is cute. No, it's not drugs, it's not alcohol. We're gonna put our pinky out. It looks like a unicorn now. Doesn't it look like a unicorn? It's a drill bit. Not just any drill bit. This drill bit will actually drill out a solid piece of metal into the shape to fire a 22 long rifle. That's right. Not a very long barrel, would it be? It'd be what, 2.5, 3 inches? Of course, as long as your machining is straight, you can actually double that from getting it from both sides. Now, that's not going to put the rifling in it, but up close and personal, you don't need that. Well, you guys are trying to make stupid laws. All right. You made your laws. How many of y'all know how to go up into the mountains and find the materials you need to make black powder, or a makeshift black powder? How many of you can actually alter the black powder recipe from its primary 3 ingredients if you're missing 2 of them? How many of you are able to figure out what you can use as a substitute, or in what percentages? So you guys got lots of ideas, you know? Like, there's people who say things like, oh, there are very problems that cannot be solved by the application of high explosives. Actually, there are a surprising number of problems that cannot be solved by the application of high explosives. Although it's true, if you blow everything up, there's no more problems to be had. There's nothing to have a problem anymore. But then there's people who want to get all philosophical, like, what technically is a problem? If a tree falls in the woods, is there anybody to hear it? Does it still make a sound? That's philosophy. Science. Yes! Yes, the tree made a sound. Whether you hear it or not, it still happened. It still creates sound waves, whether you were there to hear it or not. Now, is there evidence that a sound was made when the tree fell down? Yes. The evidence is the tree itself. Yes, sound waves do travel. Yes, trees do make sounds when they fall down. Therefore, fallen trees do make sound. And therefore, that fallen tree is evidence of the sound being made. Brilliant deductive reasoning skills. But for most of you listening to that, you got confused halfway through and have no clue what the hell is going on now. You're going to have to ask someone for help. Even you reasonably seeming human beings, when it comes to a situation that does not fit your assumptions, you get completely lost. Or, of course, when you do something wrong, you pretend to be as dumb as, well, the people I just described. No, you're not really stupid. You're pretending to be. You're playing dumb. If I literally tell you 4 different times that I'm trying to turn in police officers who committed crimes against me, how many times are you going to try to change my words over and over again? You're going to. Whatever it takes to protect your coworkers, to protect your boss. That's why we should not be sent to these police officers to turn them in. It is against the law for Tacoma Police Department to send me to Officer Schneider to turn in Officer Schneider. It is inappropriate for anybody in Nebraska to send me to Scott DaCosta to turn in Scott DaCosta. Now, sending me to their departments to turn them in, these people aren't going to stand up to their boss. That would be like if somebody's dad raped you and you got to go to his son to have it investigated. No, it wouldn't. That son ain't got no power. That's like going to the father about the son being a rapist. But he, of course, is your rapist's father. Trying to turn him into his father? That's what going to the same department does. That's what going to their superiors does. It allows their superiors to cover up for their sons on the force, their brothers on the line. What about my brothers and sisters on the line, unarmed? They're the ones, literally, the least likely people in this country to have firearms are the disabled, the mentally ill, and the homeless. Do what?
Large coffee, 15 and 15?
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely perfect. Thank you.
Alright. See you at the next window.
Yes, ma'am. Now, of course, I can call that my Christmas presents for the year. Dallas is the closest I got to a friend or family here. And I gave him a good Nebraskan Christmas, explosives and ammunition. God bless America. Gay man. Forever and ever, gay man. That's a saying I heard in Boulder that I always liked. And as a result, I say it often. It's only part of what I do to fight for the LGBT community. Yeah. Sorry about that. I was too busy talking to my phone. Yes, ma'am. For me. Thank you, sir. You're hired. He calls me boss. 'Cause I'm the big boss, man. You guys probably don't remember the original Nintendo. Most of you were actually around my age, so you actually do. Most of you ladies watching my channel, which is 96% of my viewers, are old enough to remember Nintendo. Most of you were probably more into The Legend of Zelda. That was the game that my mom was addicted to. My mom had a Nintendo. It was not for the kids. There was Super Mario Brothers and Duck Hunt. When I was on a home visit, my mom would let me play Duck Hunt. Do you know why? Because she liked to brag that I was really good at Duck Hunt. Jesus, lady, at least I got a brain. Could you focus on that a little bit? That be something to be proud of? By the way, I'm still a hell of a shot. I'm just better with real firearms than I am with a Nintendo one. Most of my friends who have been murdered, do you know how they were murdered? They were stabbed. Now, I was going to go show you how easy it is to get poison oak. I happen to know where there is some poison oak in the area. However, you can learn all that stuff off of the proper channels. You can get onto the state of Oregon's website and they'll help you to identify it. You can buy field guides, you can buy all sorts of stuff. It's not a matter of the knowledge, it's a matter of the intent. Why do people tell you in these plant magazines and identification guides and the like, why do they teach you which plants are poisonous? Why are those field guides there? Let's think about it. Field guides, sorry. It's to guard you against ignorance, but you can't guard against stupidity. If you're an idiot and you go up in the mountains and you decide that you're going to try chewing on a friggin' leaf that you don't even know what it is, well, one of those leaves might actually kill you. Let's say you're traveling through an area and you've got an infant, and you figure, well, it's an infant. I can turn around for 5 seconds, even if my kid tries running off. We're in the woods. Where's my kid going to run off to in 5 seconds that I can't catch them? I can step over everything within 10 feet of me, and my child will have to take the time to try to crawl over the top of that. I'll be fine. Well, you don't know nothing about the foliage that you got around you or the time of the year, and lo and behold, now your baby is playing around in a whole bed of poison oak leaves. Congratulations. He only turned around for 10 seconds, right? Your kid's already been on those things. It wasn't just the 10 seconds. And even when you get them back into the point of view, you see them. It's even longer than 10 seconds. When you go to tell the doctor, you're like, I only turned my back on her for 10 seconds. Maybe like 5 seconds. Nope, your baby is crawling around on misshapen oak leaves. How can you tell that the oak leaf that your baby is crawling on is poison oak? It looks like a mitten. It looks like a regular oak leaf with a little protrusion at the bottom, like a little bit bigger. There's 3 of them. One on this side with a thumb, one on this side with a thumb, and one in the middle with 2 thumbs. By the way, that's how the lady on the Oregon State site described it. You're welcome. Now, with identification and education on poisonous materials and plants within the United States, you can find anything from arsenic to strychnine. If you know which mushrooms to harvest it off of, or you know which way to boil an apricot. But then people get into all scientific complications of being able to do it that way when they don't even need to process it with an oak leaf. All you have to do is be careless. Most people don't know that you can die from apricot seeds. Most people don't know that there's poison inside of it, or what kind, or in what quantities. But who cares, right? You're not going to eat the seed. That seed's pretty big. It doesn't look like something appetizing. It doesn't look like something you're going to want to swallow. It's something you're going to throw away. But it's also not a skin adjutant like oak leaves are. It's not an inhalant hazard. in its present state. Oak? Yeah, if you're sniffing poison oak leaves, you can kill yourself doing it. If you've got a baby, an infant, still crawling on their belly, they're getting a lot of physical contact with the oils. And the oils on those leaves is what makes you sick. One poison oak leaf is enough to kill an adult. Same concentration as in poison sumac, as well as in poison ivy, and they all three have the same chemical in them that will kill you. And despite the fact that every angry housewife in America is within a 4-hour drive of poison sumac, poison ivy, or poison oak, every woman in America has access to a field guide, whether on the internet, on their phone, or elsewise. That's right. That lady who got busted because she went through like 6 or 7 different channels to try to find poison so that she could poison her husband. And then she tried to get away with it by doing what? She went to the grocery store and she exchanged the stuff that was on the shelves, and she put some aspirin, I believe it was, that was poisoned. How'd they find her? The fish stuff that she used for her fish. But then when they went back and took a look, they realized that, she had to get that poison from somewhere. Where did she get it? She was trying to get it elsewhere. If she'd realized that, and I want to say the guy who was telling me the story, because I was telling him about another story where, like, literally people will do stupid stuff when they've got the ability to do something right there. And he was talking about this lady, and I remember the case. I remember it being on a... Pamela Martindale likes to watch that true crime bullshit. Well, she likes to have it on as background noise when she's doing stuff. So, I mean, I've seen this stuff on TV. And, I remembered the story a little bit. When the guy was telling me about how, she obviously got the poison from somewhere. It wasn't an easy to get poison. And he was telling me that in the area that she was at, it was poison sumac. That she had poison sumac within like 50 feet of her back door. Wow. And she picked arsenic. Huh. It's 50 feet from the back door. She could have poisoned her husband to death with poison sumac and called it an accident. Instead, she went to try to get a poison that is difficult to find, doesn't grow locally, requires being processed in order to get in sufficient quantities to kill somebody. And what did you do? You didn't think first before you committed to action. That lady decided to kill her husband for insurance money. She got busted when she realized she wasn't getting her insurance money, when it was being dragged out. And, she'd seen on TV, there's all these other people whose families got killed too. And she's thinking they're all going to get some big payout. They're going to get, not only are they going to now get the payout for her insurance on her husband, now she's going to get to join this class action suit where they're going to sue this grocery store for selling these tainted pills. Well, she got busted. That's what happened. She got busted. And then it's the, he was horrible to me. He beat me, and he this and he that. And she had a ready-made accident 50 feet from her back door. It's not a matter of access, it's a matter of intent. I had the access to kill most of my predators, I just didn't have the intent. I had the means to kill them. I just didn't have the intent. I had the access to the explosives. I had access to the firearms. I've also got access to the knowledge to make firearms and explosives. So I don't need to go to Tillamook Sporting Goods, walk in, buy a half-pound tub of Tannerite, and a 50-pack of 22 long rifle bullets, hollow point, 38 grain. That was also a point that I had to make in prison. You see, the doctors were very unhappy about being told that I was schizophrenic, because I wasn't. And they made some decisions based on the fact that they were lied to, that were not good decisions, and by their own admission, they would not have made if they'd known that they'd been lied to. That's where this ring comes in. You see the ring on my finger? That's not a wedding ring. That's one of the strings from a suicide blanket. When I tell you that something makes me suicidal, and then you do it, you are literally trying to push me to commit suicide. Also, if you're going to challenge me and abuse your position of power, well, I grew up in the system, you son of a bitch. I grew up with grown-ass men who thought it was okay to shove their cock up my ass. If I could stand up to them, I could stand up to you. Ooh-wee. I tried to turn in Sarah Nelson when I was in there. I tried to turn in Michelle Destini while I was in there. I tried to turn in a lot of them while I was in there. There are more criminals in uniform that have badges in that facility than there are inmates who are not homeless when they were arrested. Do you like how I pause between words like you're dumb and couldn't understand it unless I stop and talk to you like you're dumb? You don't like that, it doesn't feel good, does it? Now where's that going? Where's that suicide blanket? That's right. When they try to bully you to commit suicide, one of the tactics they use is to pretend like you're suicidal when you try to turn them in. They take away your clothes. They take away your blankets. So you're freezing and your balls are free-flowing. And they give you these suicide smocks. I tore up 6 of them before they finally stopped. I just kept tearing them up. They put me in prison without a conviction. I wasn't even charged with felonies, and they had to drop the charges. And here I am in prison being physically assaulted by guards, being hazed, tased, and harassed. Oh, glorious day. Even after spraying me with their special spray, and that stuff burns like a motherfucker. I could take the pain till it hit my balls. That hurt a lot. It's also not a joke. Physical torture is considered part of their job. They call it pain compliance. Who cares what the law is? You will do as they say or they will hurt you. You have no rights. And they're allowed to do that by law because you're a convicted felon. Oh, whoa. Except I'm not a convicted felon, am I? That's right, I'm not. So what the hell was I doing in prison? Also, with me not being schizophrenic and not being delusional, and the fact that in all of these court dates, all of my predators wanted to prey on it as if I were. Man, you guys really screwed up big. Did any of these idiot cops or idiot hospital workers bother looking up Waylon Lolatai before just assuming I was a retard? Oh, no officer would ever do that. Look it up, Waylon Lolatai. You damn right he did. Not just to me, but also to many others. I had to go in alone to try to turn him in repeatedly. With all of the empty promises from people like Miss Peaches, aka Kayla Trujillo, and the empty promises from Mandy Hughes, and ultimately the empty promises by her daughter, Alyssa Rainwater, who was a 911 operator the night that Natalie Bollinger got her brains blown out. By Mark's own bullshit. That's one of the investigators, Mark Peterson. By his own bullshit, his boss thought it was an open and shut case before he ever went out to see the body. They already knew it was Natalie Bollinger's body. By their own admission, they knew it was Natalie's body. I told you. Oh, it's not officially? Bitch, you saw the tattoos. You knew it was her. Don't play stupid. You thought it was open and shut because you wanted to pretend like I was some stalker who killed her. You thought it was open and shut. You worked together across multiple jurisdictions with multiple other agencies in order to try to frame me for murder, and it didn't work, Mark Peterson. It didn't work, Jai Rogers. Clearview is shut down now. Waylon Lolatai lost his job after Boulder County had to spend millions of taxpayer dollars. The people that you collaborated with are going down like dominoes. So are the people that they collaborated with. Look at Scott DaCosta and his department. Look at all the people that they were able to reach out to across jurisdictional borders. People like Michelle Quinn. What'd she do? Beat the hell out of her girlfriend. And it's not Nebraska State Patrol's job to police the police. Oh, well, it certainly is. If it's Michelle Quinn. It's just not if it's Scott DaCosta. Not just Michelle Quinn, though. Scott DaCosta, knowing that I was trying to turn him in, committed multiple felonies, including illegal incarceration, to try to prevent the crimes that he committed from being shown in court. To prevent me from turning him in, and Leslie Snell in, and Robert Franklin Warnick. These predators worked together to achieve this by pretending that I might. They committed felonies against me. And when I tried to turn them in, they pretended like I might hurt them. No, bitch, if I wanted you dead, you'd be dead. You'd have been pushing daisies years ago. If I'd have wanted to blow you up, I'd have blown you up. If I wanted to cut your dog's head off, I'd have cut your dog's head off. If I wanted to menace somebody with an axe, I would have menaced somebody with an axe. While I try to show evidence of crimes committed against me, and I have to try to turn them in to criminals who have committed crimes against me, it doesn't work out. It became a conflict of interest for Scott DaCosta or any of his department to do anything with me at all after Natalie Bollinger was killed because of their negligence before she was killed. Instead, Scott DaCosta did everything that he could to help the predators on his department get away. This is how police really work in the United States. And they'll tell you things like, oh, we don't have the money to do our jobs anymore. Well, that's because you're spending out millions of dollars to rich people who you assumed were homeless because they went slumming. Maybe instead of assuming that Zaid Atkinson was a homeless person and that you would get along just fine if you did to him what you do to all these homeless people, well, maybe you shouldn't have thought that it was okay to treat homeless people like that to begin with. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe instead of BLM pretending that it's wrong to do it to a black man, maybe we should address the actual issue. Boulder Police Department are hobo hunters. Most law enforcement in the United States does not care about the law. They hold the same bias you do, and they will murder us same as you will for the same reasons, because they think they can get away with it. And they can and do because of propaganda and idiots like you. While you bitch about Zaid Atkinson, who wanted to be a whiny little bitch and pretend it was a race crime committed against him, Daniel Kitlitz is fucking dead. You don't care about him. He's white. You want to pretend that all white people get this special white privilege check. That we all live in a 2-story mansion with a 10-car garage. White people, white people, white people. What about all these white people in mansions? Holy shit! Where the fuck do you live, lady? All these white people in mansions. Why are you taking it out on me then? You live in a 3-bedroom house with 5 kids. You are rich by comparison with me. You got family. You got a roof over your head that gives you rights. You don't have to park that on somebody else's property. You got 5 kids you can hide behind when you do something fucked up to somebody. You got bias against men, and poor me, I'm a single mom, even if you're not. I know women who have been dating the same guy for 6 years or longer. Why are they still dating him instead of marrying him? A lot of people ask that. Well, because she's still collecting alimony. If she marries that guy, she doesn't get the alimony. It's got nothing to do with love. It's got to do with money, as always. That's what we teach. No money means no rights. They're not going to investigate themselves. They're going to help their friends get away with it. They're going to say, we investigated ourselves and we didn't do any wrong. Like they did with Sammy Leon Lawrence IV, and they still had to pay out, didn't they? Like they did with Zaid Atkinson, but they still had to pay out anyway. What about the criminal acts of these departments literally going out of their way to break the law, knowing full well that these people broke the law? It had to go to a civil case because you were not going to find a guilty man guilty, even with all the evidence in the world. Instead, you're going to try to cover it up. With Zayd Atkinson, you didn't get to do that because people were on his side. Whereas with me, people have been streaming for blood. Now, I can't threaten to kill my predators back. Or I'm the bad guy, but it's not illegal for them to do it to me. You got to see time and again, excuse after excuse by officers, going out of their way to create a safety issue. But at least they let me know that they're creating the safety issue by the words and demeanor. Even if they're smiling nice. You guys, if you were familiar with the situation, be able to spot a bullshitter a mile away. Most of us autistic folks, it's not that we're complete social morons. There's a lot of stuff that we don't get, but we're not retarded. Most of what we don't get is you guys lying nonstop. You're attracted to a guy, so you pretend that you're not attracted to him, and then you stalk him for a year and a half. That's fucking creepy. My first stalker was Kristen Kepler in Chapel, Nebraska. I've seen her twice since Natalie died. She's not very nice anymore. You're welcome. My next stalker, actual stalker, was Brianna Hernandez Cordona. By the way, I lost my virginity to her. She thought she was in love with me when she was 15 and I was 28. And no, I didn't. She was still in love with me when she was 16. By that time, she was telling me about all of her sexual exploits and how she was still in love with me. Then, of course, she turned 17, and the same thing. She was telling me she'd had sex with at least 2,000 guys. And of course, do I believe that that's true? No. Do I believe it's possible? It's absolutely possible. That is absolutely possible, just not probable. Then, of course, when she was 18, I didn't see her hardly at all while she was 18. She had basically disappeared into religion for a year or something like that. I don't know. Then she came back when she was 19 and she was in love with me all over again and so on and so forth. This is after when she was 17 years old and I was almost going to date a woman named Nicole from Nederland, Colorado. Her name is Nicole Gerald and she has a sister named... Oh God, I forgot her sister's name, and that's horrible because her sister is super nice too. Anyway, Nicole Gerald, like I said, she went to Naropa University to become a therapist. And when Brianna Hernandez Cordona was 17, and she's got this big old crush on me, and she's got Nicole Gerald as her therapist. And Nicole Gerald is telling me about Brianna Hernandez Cordona and hers private therapy. And about how Brianna Hernandez Cordona has this delusion that we had this horrible breakup and we were dating and all sorts of other, like, fucked up fantasy shit. Now, you can only imagine how Brianna Hernandez Cordona felt when she's 17 years old. And she saw me and Nicole Gerald together. How do you think that felt for Brianna Hernandez Cordona? Probably not very good. Especially when Nicole, when she was telling me this, she was giggling and laughing about it. Now, that's not the time that Brianna Hernandez Cordona saw us together. But it's still horrible. It's unprofessional. Is that what they teach at Naropa? Where Zayd Atkinson also went to school. See, that's the thing. People cared because he had a house. If he'd have been a black person on the streets, they wouldn't have cared. They didn't care when they did that to Mark Swanigan. Nobody gave two shits. Why? Because Mark Swanigan was homeless. Sure, he was black too, but he was homeless. Now, my predators with badges all have guns. Leslie Snell has guns. Her husband has guns. Her son-in-law Jolly has guns. Ted Bollinger, despite being a more than 3-time felon, got busted with an illegal firearm and methamphetamines in Colorado after Natalie's death. And then he got busted with more methamphetamines when him and his messed out fucking daughter jumped borders illegally with more meth on a high-speed chase through multiple states. And meanwhile, I got to go to bad cops who helped those people get away, even though those people were actually on drugs. And when I try to turn these cops in, they just pretend that I'm on drugs or that I'm schizophrenic. And then, of course, I don't get hurt at the hospital either. They don't make any decisions based on evidence. They make decisions based on my predator's words. Fuck you and the horse you rode in on. God bless America.